In my 4th year as a canary, I got pregnant. Just as I was about to tell Gui Cheng the news, I stumbled upon a financial report in his office. It showed he was heavily indebted to many banks, clearly on the verge of bankruptcy. Terrified, I swapped my pregnancy test results for a cancer diagnosis, grabbed my bag, and fled. 6 years later, my daughter, Cece, was at summer camp. During a video call, she excitedly yelled, "Mom, you're gonna be rich." Guess what? I took your picture to a tour, and someone actually bought it. For a super high price. One beautiful photo of you went for 500,000. 500,000? To keep Cece out of trouble while studying, I always kept a small photo of myself in her bag. But it was just a 1-inch, blue background passport photo. My name and phone number were even written on the back, just in case someone needed to contact me. I frowned, bringing the phone closer. Suspiciously, I asked, "You didn't fall for a scammer and sell your mom, did you?" Cece shook her head frantically. "No way. You don't know him, Mom. That uncle is super handsome and tall. His car is so cool. The teacher said it must be worth tens of millions. Even the university principal was surrounding him. We were so lucky to see him on a business trip while we were touring." Cece said the uncle gave her a card with a password. I smoothly used them to log into online banking. Oh my God. 500,000 had actually been transferred. That person wasn't a scammer. In that moment, I suddenly thought of Gui Cheng. But very quickly, I dismissed that idea. Gui Cheng had gone bankrupt, hadn't he? With that much bank debt, how could he possibly spend hundreds of thousands just to buy a picture? Besides, his feelings for me surely weren't that deep? After all, we were only together for 4 years. Back then, my family went bankrupt, and we were drowning in debt, with creditors hounding us day and night. To pay off the debts, my father packaged me up and gave me to Gui Cheng, the biggest magnate in the industry at the time. Actually, Gui Cheng treated me very well. If I liked a bag or a piece of jewelry, he'd immediately order it and have it delivered directly to me. He also didn't have a string of honeybees around him. He was a very proper gentleman, even people in his circle respectfully called me sister-in-law. So, when I first discovered I was pregnant, my first reaction was to tell him immediately. I joyfully ran to the CEO's office. But then I saw a stack of financial reports on his desk. I had only studied 1 year of university before dropping out due to lack of money. In the past, I wouldn't have even glanced at such things. But for some reason that day, I felt possessed and opened them. And what I saw shocked me. Inside was something called a balance sheet, which stated that Gui Cheng's company had borrowed a huge amount of money from the bank. The number of zeros was countless. Oh my God. He was definitely about to collapse. I still clearly remember my reaction then. It was as if two little figures were fighting in my head. The angel told me to stay and brave the difficulties with Gui Cheng. But very quickly, the little devil dismissed that thought. By Wanji, have you forgotten those days of hiding from creditors with your father? It was so hard, so tiring, and you lived in fear every day. Besides, you have a baby now. You can't let the child suffer along with 2 adults. I gently placed my hand on my belly. Finally, I put away the pregnancy test results. Afraid he would come looking for me, I even went online and spent 30 yuan to have someone create a cancer test result. At the bottom, I wrote in pen. The doctor said I only have 3 months left. I plan to use this last period to travel and see the sights. Please forget about me, Achung. May we meet again in the next life. Before leaving, I had originally intended to take all the gifts Gui Cheng had given me. But after thinking about it, he was about to go bankrupt. I should still leave him some. Sigh. Damn it, I'm truly crazy about money. A money lover like me is even willing to leave half of my precious Hermes bags behind. It truly is a deep and great love, sob sob sob. But besides Gui Cheng, who else could it be? I couldn't get a name out of Cece. I scratched my chin. Worried it was a scammer with bad intentions, I called her teacher to confirm. It was quite late, but Cece's homeroom teacher quickly picked up. "Is this about by Cece?" The teacher seemed to have guessed why I was calling and explained, "Ms. Bai, please rest assured, we've already confirmed this. That person isn't a bad person. Although 500,000 sounds excessive, for them, it's probably just a small, insignificant amount." 500,000 is just a small amount? I became even more curious about the person's identity. However, the teacher just shook her head. "To be honest, I'm not sure either. Their assistant said their boss doesn't want to reveal his name. I only know that the man seems to have lost a wife and an unborn child. Judging by age, that child would probably be about Cece's age now. Additionally, Cece has some features similar to that CEO, so it might evoke a sense of familiarity. Perhaps it's a way for him to express certain feelings. That's why that gentleman wanted to get a little closer. A sense of familiarity. A thought suddenly popped into my head. Could it be that he sees Cece and me as substitutes for his deceased wife and child to express some strange feelings? I'd only ever seen this kind of thing in melodramatic romance novels, never in real life. Is this going to be trouble? But from the tone, it seemed the other party wasn't simple. I could only ask the teacher for help first. "I'm busy with exams recently and can't travel easily. Could the school please pay extra attention to Cece? She's a bit impulsive, don't let her be tricked by someone." The teacher immediately agreed. "Please don't worry. We will definitely ensure the safety of our students. We'll also keep an eye on anyone Cece interacts with." And indeed, the teacher kept her promise. Because the very next day, that mysterious magnate directly sponsored all the school's summer camp expenses, making it completely free. Initially, the money students paid was only enough for budget chain hotels. With a wave of his hand, everything was upgraded to 5-star hotels. There was even a surplus room, the most luxurious presidential suite, which was given directly to Cece. Even the tours, which were originally just free public spots like universities, parks, and museums. The magnate once again generously opened his wallet, taking into account the students' wishes. He added 2 full days of touring amusement parks and wild animal zoos. The return train trip was also changed to a private jet pickup and drop-off. Late at night, Cece called me while I was studying vocabulary. She let out a scream that almost burst my eardrum. On the screen, she excitedly spun 360 degrees to show me the layout and style of the legendary presidential suite. Outside the enormous floor-to-ceiling window was the city's brilliant night view. Tall buildings, lighthouses, the glittering river flowing quietly. Cars zooming on the overpass were so small they looked like green beans, sparkling with lights, speeding in every direction. I suddenly felt this place looked familiar. This place. Had Gui Cheng taken me here before? The same hotel, the same floor, this very room. Just as I was wondering if it was just a coincidence, my daughter's voice rang out from the phone. "Mom, Mom. Look. Isn't this place beautiful? I'm not lying to you, that uncle is really super rich. Today our whole class is talking about it." I nodded. Then, I saw Cece suddenly pause, then mysteriously lean her face close to the screen. Blinking, she whispered to me, "Mom." Earlier, a magical money-making idea popped into my head. Why does that rich uncle care about you and me so much? It must be because we remind him of his ex-wife and unborn child. He must really miss that time. What do you think? How about, we become their substitutes? We'll definitely become millionaires in one go, Mom. Me? Huh? No wonder she's my biological daughter. How could such a bizarre idea align with my brainwaves? Cece has absolutely inherited the best genes from me. Sometimes I just hold her face and stare blankly. How can this child look exactly like Gui Cheng, but her personality is just like mine? From a young age, she's been obsessed with money. Because when I left Gui Cheng all those years ago, I conveniently collected half of my handbags and designer goods. So, I wasn't short on spending money. Cece, following me, never suffered. From food to clothing to housing, everything was the best. Yet, every time I shopped on Taobao, she'd rush over, comparing 3 places to show me which was the most cost-effective. When she entered kindergarten, this little girl's skills leveled up, and she started doing business to make money. Back then, the teacher in her class didn't allow students to bring snacks or toys to class, fearing it would be difficult to manage. Only she had the guts to do it. Every day, she'd secretly stuff a bunch of candies, cookies, and trading cards into her tiny backpack. Then, at noon, she'd set up shop right in the classroom. Each item was only 2 or 3 dimes. She'd put every penny she earned into her piggy bank, rubbing it tirelessly. She said she'd use that money to open a company someday. Thinking about all this, I ahead for a long time, struggling to form a sentence for Cece on the other end of the line. You're still so young. Do you even know what a substitute is? Cece rolled her eyes at me in annoyance. Mom, don't you watch TV dramas? A substitute is an actor who plays the role that the boss needs. She stamped her foot, her voice full of dissatisfaction. You can't obstruct my great entrepreneurial plan. Hurry up and send more pictures and things you've made. I need to sell them to the rich uncle. He'll definitely be very interested. This will be my startup capital. I'll raise funds, start a business, successfully go public, and become a truly capable female entrepreneur. Chapter 4: The Truth About Debt. Because this matter was too strange, I really couldn't hold it in. So the next day, while studying at the library, I told my study partner, Su Ling, about it. He's considered a half-baked young master, but he's an illegitimate child. For over 20 years, he lived without a care, just enjoying himself. After all, the company would be inherited by the legitimate son, so he only needed to live off a fixed monthly allowance. Who would have thought that one day the eldest son would become paralyzed, and the second son would abandon worldly affairs and become a monk? He, the only one left, was immediately pulled out and put on the board of directors. The result was that the big bosses immediately saw he really didn't know anything. Not to mention terms like investment, mergers, or equity financing, he couldn't even read a simple report. Su Ling once complained to me that when he first started, he was completely clueless. His assistant showed him the financial report, and it almost panicked him. I looked at it. Oh my God. So much bank debt, isn't it about to go bankrupt? Are they calling me here to be a scapegoat? Maybe I should just pack my bags and run away. Later, he learned that there was also something called a debt ratio. If banks are willing to lend money, it means good credit. Borrowing money allows for idle capital to generate profit. It proves that the company is in a growth phase, and so on and so forth. When he was rambling on about those things to me, I was studying vocabulary. I looked up slightly. I felt like what he was saying sounded so familiar. But immediately, seeing his small mouth babbling nonstop, I felt bored. So I ignored him, covered my ears, and sat down at another table to continue studying new words. Now that Cece had come up with this bizarre idea, I immediately thought of my young master classmate, Su Ling. They're both from wealthy circles, who knows, maybe he's heard of that uncle? In the library coffee room, I closed my adult college entrance exam prep book and rubbed my chin, deep in thought. I glanced at him. So? Do you think it's reliable? Have you investigated who that person is? Su Ling also rubbed his chin. He let out a light hum after a moment of silence. Let me try. Give me a few days. I'll have my people go inquire and see which idle magnate spends all day taking kids to parks. And so, things proceeded. While I asked Su Ling to investigate, I actually went home and packed a bunch of random things, then sent them by express delivery to Cece. For example, my large passport photos, some handmade stuffed animals I made for fun, some knitted gloves and scarves I made while watching TV, etc. Cece was incredibly enthusiastic about this business. I felt she genuinely saw that magnate as a real money tree. Every time she called me, she'd happily brag. Mom. We made another decent sum today. Go check your bank account, I sold the scarf you made. That uncle loved it so much, he hugged and stroked it, and I even thought he was about to cry. And also that picture of you and me. He saw it on my phone that day and just stared at it for a long time. So I downloaded it and sold it to him. I watched Cece sitting by the floor-to-ceiling window in the presidential suite, holding a handheld calculator, happily adding up numbers, then tapping her fingers, calculating how to split the profits with me. That strange, vague, and unsettling feeling crept back. Who exactly is that person? Why are they so lavishly generous to two strangers they've never met? Just because of a deceased wife and child? Unfortunately, my mind isn't sharp enough. I couldn't figure it out no matter how hard I thought. I could only take out my phone and once again open the banking app to check my balance. The account now held several million. Alright. If this continues, doubling it to tens of millions is only a matter of time. Why should I worry anymore? Just let Cece do as she pleases. At worst, when that money tree realizes he's been taken advantage of, my daughter and I will just take the money and run, shaking our hands clean. But actually, it probably wouldn't come to running away. Because one day, Cece's intense passion for doing business and making money from the magnate suddenly plummeted. She was no longer very enthusiastic about draining the rich uncle's wallet. It happened like this: the summer camp lasted a total of 2 weeks. I noticed this change when the program was only a few days from ending. In our usual call, Cece seemed unhappy. I thought she had encountered something unpleasant. She blinked her big, round eyes. Her face showed a clear expression of confusion, doubt, and bewilderment as she looked at me. After a long while, she stammered out her feelings. Mom. I met his assistant that day. I heard that when he lost his wife, he was completely heartbroken for a while. I suddenly felt that maybe it's not right for me to make money from him like this? Huh? Is this Cece, who once dreamed of becoming the richest female magnate in the world, now hesitating to exploit another capitalist's wallet? I rubbed my chin, starting to suspect what kind of revolutionary bond had developed between that magnate and my daughter in the past few days. In just a short summer camp, Cece had gotten to know quite a few people around the magnate. However, all of his close associates were instructed not to reveal his true identity. But during their daily meals and activities, they still overheard quite a few things. With the professional spirit of a child entrepreneur who wanted to understand her customer to make money effectively, Cece held her small notebook, secretly eavesdropping on conversations between the assistant and others. She jotted down a few details about the life of the magnate and his late wife. She said wife, but in reality, they were never married. It was rumored that before the boss was about to propose, the mysterious woman suddenly disappeared inexplicably. This caused a stir in the high society at the time. Some said she ran away from home. Others said they broke up. There were also rumors that the woman, being pregnant, was kidnapped and murdered by enemies. The news was varied, all sorts of strange and thrilling rumors, with everyone having a different story. But what was visible to the naked eye was that as time went on, the boss's mental state deteriorated. He searched for her frantically, almost to the point of madness. In the days that followed, he locked himself in his office, constantly burying himself in work. His face was always so gloomy that no one dared approach him. Until one day, due to overwork, he fainted at the company and had to be rushed to the hospital. The next day when he woke up, the boss sat in the hospital room for a long time. Then he made a decision. He summoned all his subordinates who were scattered everywhere searching for his lover back to his side, ending all search operations. It was my fault, that's why she left. I should learn to be a good husband. A good father. When she forgives me, she will naturally come back. He even specially kept a children's room in his villa. He personally designed, decorated, and arranged it. Every few days, he would bring back some toys and dolls that children love. Item by item, he carefully arranged them on the shelves. The assistant once saw older relatives in the family advising him to stop doing these hopeless things, saying that after searching for so many years without results, the person must be dead. They also emphasized that he should quickly socialize and get married, as that was the proper thing to do. The boss didn't even bother to look up. He just continued flipping through the children's storybook in his hand and told someone to escort the elder out. After Cece meticulously recounted everything she had secretly overheard and pieced together, she lay sprawled on the table, propping her chin, tilting her head, rarely showing such a vague and dazed expression. "Mom. I heard people say that because he couldn't find his child, he transferred his affection to me. I don't know. Actually, I'm a little jealous of that child. Because I think he would definitely be a very good father." She paused for a moment, then blinked. She turned her head and looked away, her voice a soft whisper, "Mom. If my father were still alive, what kind of person would he be?" I once told Cece that her father had died in an accident. He was on a business trip abroad when he encountered an unexpected storm. The plane crashed into the sea. No one survived, and his body was never found. Cece rarely mentioned her father. When she was in kindergarten, the children in class sometimes played around, and one child inadvertently said she didn't have a father. But Cece was never self-conscious about it. She always reacted with her fists, hitting back hard. Is having a dad so great? Is it as good as having my mom? My mom just bought me a limited edition special collaboration bracelet for $200,000, do you have one? My mom designs jewelry that big brands buy the rights to for high prices, can your dad do that? Speaking of which, jewelry design is also my current job. After all, as a single mother, I can't just keep spending the money in my savings account. I still need to have my own career. Money aside for now, but when my daughter mentioned it, it did make me feel proud. It's just that. I looked up, looking at Cece's face on the screen. Perhaps because she rarely mentioned Dad before, this sudden question caught me a bit off guard. Looking into Cece's eyes, I zoned out for a moment. The feeling of being with Gu Yicheng from back then unconsciously resurfaced in my mind, and I blurted out, "What did he look like?" Probably the kind of boss who's busy from morning till night every day. Cece seemed to not hear clearly. She immediately moved closer to the screen, her expression so curious it was about to burst. "What? What did you just say, Mom? What kind of person was my dad?" Since I had already opened my mouth, I didn't know how to stop. I could only continue mumbling, describing him based on Gu Yicheng's image. "Your dad was a very successful person. He built his own company, with thousands, even tens of thousands of employees under him. In short, money wasn't a big deal for your dad, so he always seemed particularly generous. If you asked for something, he'd buy it for you without hesitation. And his appearance was good, quite tall, thin, with dimples on both cheeks when he smiled." I counted on my fingers, adding a few more revealing details, but his clothes were so boring. Every day, it was a suit and a white shirt. His ties were only a few repetitive styles, either plain or diagonal stripes, at most with a tie clip that I bought him. "Oh, right." I hadn't even finished speaking when Cece suddenly jumped up, shaking the phone in her hand, and exclaimed excitedly, Mom. What a huge coincidence. How come when you describe Dad, he sounds exactly like the rich uncle?" "I'm telling you, Mom, that uncle is also tall and thin, also very generous, also wears suits and ties all the time. And he even has a tie clip." This time, it was my turn to be stunned. I frowned, my mind temporarily unable to keep up with her train of thought. I just let out a soft huh? Cece glanced at me. "Oh, you won't understand even if I tell you. Our summer camp is about to end, and the magnate uncle said he'll be free in the next few days, so it just so happens that he can. Just happens to be able to what?" Suddenly, there was a knock at the door outside. It sounded like Cece's homeroom teacher. My daughter didn't pay any attention to me. She pattered out, running to open the door. Sure enough, in just a moment, the teacher, wearing a white shirt, appeared at the door on the screen. Seeing Cece on the phone with me, she leaned down and waved to me through the screen, a friendly smile on her face. Perfect timing, Cece's parent. I was planning to call you tonight anyway, so it's convenient to tell you now. She picked up her phone, seemingly scrolling through her notes. Tomorrow is the flight back. It's a morning flight, arriving around 5 or 6 in the evening. Please note down the flight number so you can arrange your time to pick up your child. I nodded. Actually, the school had already announced this in the group chat 3 days ago. This was probably just a reconfirmation. After speaking, the teacher turned to look at Cece. She suddenly frowned, gently poking the child's forehead. She pretended to scold her sternly. What time is it? Have you brushed your teeth? Washed your face? Are you planning to secretly play games again tonight? Why aren't you asleep yet? Cece was usually a little afraid of her teacher. She immediately hid the phone behind her back, shaking her head and covering her face, mumbling defensively, "No, I'm not. I'm turning it off right now. You can check. I always sleep on time. I'm also very well behaved sleeping alone." At that very moment, thump. The phone screen suddenly went dark. Cece must have been scared by the teacher's serious face and quickly dove into her covers. But my curiosity was now stretched to its absolute limit. What on earth was that magnate planning to do these next few days? What was he just happening to do? By Cece, that kid, why did she stop talking mid-sentence? Despite my intense curiosity, after a night's sleep, all thoughts of the boss, the magnate, and the tie clip were completely thrown out of my mind. The next morning, I had to register for an exam. After a busy online registration, it was already noon. I quickly ate a bowl of noodles, then rushed to the airport. The road was clear, and I drove smoothly all the way. When I arrived and checked the time, I was even half an hour early. Waiting around was boring, and conveniently, there was a toy store at the airport linked to a new animated series. I suddenly remembered that Cece had once said she really liked the items there, so I took the opportunity to buy a few. By the time I finished choosing, it was almost time for pickup. My phone vibrated in my pocket. It was a call from Cece. She had been on the plane all day. This was her first call today. Mom, I'm off the plane. Where are you? We're coming to find you." I looked at the bag of toys in my hand and smiled, saying, "Mom's at exit C2. Ask your teacher where you guys are. She probably still has to look after the other kids, so I'll come to you." Cece hesitated for a moment, then immediately rejected my suggestion. "No need. Uncle is here to pick me up. He said he just happened to be on a business trip to this area." "Mom, hurry over, I'll introduce you to him. See if he looks like my dad." "Huh? So sudden." Even more sudden was the news from Su Ling, my study partner from the library, about the rich uncle I'd asked him to investigate. It seemed he had some information. As expected of someone from that world, he acted fast. He had actually found out the identity of the magnate Cece had scammed. I received a message from him. As soon as I opened it, a picture immediately hit my eyes. "Hey. By Wanji, is this the person you asked me to find? I don't know what got into him. Is this a picture of him eating with your daughter? Gui Chang." My hand trembled slightly. I looked up. I saw Bai Cece wearing a cute little Linabelle backpack. Behind her was Gui Chang. His left hand pushed a suitcase, and his right hand carried a huge gift bag. His eyes met mine. No evasion, no surprise. As if everything was within his expectations, he smiled faintly, gently calling my name. "Gigi. Long time no see." Yes. It had been 6 years, hadn't it? Gui Chang was wearing a gray suit with a white shirt underneath. It was still the familiar blue tie, adorned with a tiny golden tie clip. It was the birthday gift I had given him all those years ago. Over 2,000 yuan, not exactly a luxury item. So much time had passed that the tie clip was a bit faded. I hadn't expected him to still keep it. Bai Cici dashed towards me like a small rocket. Thump. She threw her arms around me, burying her head into my waist, sweetly calling out repeatedly, "Mommy, Mommy. I missed you so much. It's the first time I've been away from you for so long. Did you miss me?" Let me tell you, the trip was super fun. I saw the ocean, rode a pirate ship, and even fed a giraffe. I also bought lots and lots of toys and snacks. I even have gifts for you, all chosen carefully by me. Oh, right, speaking of gifts. Cici suddenly turned back to look behind her. She tightly grabbed Gui Cheng's wrist, forcefully pulling him in front of me. "This is the rich uncle I told you about, Mom. He bought gifts for you too." Then, with her other hand, she grabbed my hand and thumped it onto Gui Cheng's. She cleared her throat twice, glancing at the silent man. "My mom is pretty, isn't she? Why are you so quiet today, uncle? Are you stunned?" Finally, it was I who broke the silence. I quickly pulled my hand away from his, forcing a strained laugh. "Ha ha ha. What a coincidence, truly a coincidence. Long time no see. Cici said you're here on a business trip, right? Ah, well then, we won't bother you anymore. My daughter and I will head home first. If fate allows, we'll get in touch later." Gui Cheng quickly cut me off. "Gigi. You know this isn't a coincidence. Can we talk for a bit?" Bai Cici, who had been happily chattering, immediately sensed that something was amiss. Her eyes darted back and forth between Gui Cheng and me, narrowing into thin slits, emanating an intense aura of gossip. I could only sigh helplessly. In my heart, I knew I couldn't escape this, no matter how much I wanted to. After all, that year I had left him a terminal cancer diagnosis, saying I only had 3 months to live. And now, meeting again, I was not only healthy but also accompanied by a child this grown. What else could this be called if not a medical miracle? I bowed my head. Quietly but cautiously, I gently pulled Bai Cici closer into my embrace. "All right. Cici just got home, let her rest a bit first. I'll take her to a friend's place to stay for a while, okay?" After settling Bai Cici, Gui Cheng and I went to a nearby coffee shop. Being a weekday, the shop was quite empty. The atmosphere between us was a bit awkward. I gently held the hot drink in my hands, my mind a jumbled mess, countless chaotic thoughts swirling in my head. I didn't know when Gui Cheng had found me. I didn't know why he came looking for me. I also didn't know if he knew Bai Cici's true identity. Honestly, I was very afraid Gui Cheng would try to take Cici away. With Bai Cici's current personality, if she found him pleasing to the eye like that, and if a dispute really broke out, I wasn't sure I could win. Oh, right. If it came to that, would I have to find a lawyer? Oh dear. Lawyer fees weren't a small amount either. Just as I was lost in thought, starting to calculate how much was left in my bank account, a red velvet square box suddenly appeared in front of me. Gui Cheng gently pushed it towards me. He cleared his throat twice, then spoke, "A necklace. I went to Hong Kong for business earlier, and I happened to attend an auction and bought this. Open it and see if you like it." He glanced at me. I don't know if it was my imagination, but his eyes held a hint of caution, and even his voice was hesitant, uncertain. "Although I don't know when I'll see you again. I prepare a gift for you every year on your birthday. If you don't like this one, I have many others. They're all from the brands you used to like." Brands I used to like? The brands I used to like weren't all those luxury items with no economic value, were they? And I was picky, too. I wouldn't bother with anything mass-produced. It had to be sparkly, colorful, full of glittering diamonds, and so on. I blurted out the question that had been stuck in my throat since we met again. "Gui Cheng, you're really good, huh? Did you start a successful business again?" His hand, which was offering me a pastry, froze. A vague, bewildered expression briefly appeared on his face, a complete contrast to his previous elite businessman aura. Huh? Gigi, what are you talking about? Huh? I lightly scratched my nose, a vague panic beginning to spread within me. No. I mean, weren't you about to go bankrupt back then? 6 years ago. I saw it with my own eyes, on your office desk. That document called a financial report or something, seemed like a debt-ridden balance sheet, on it. As soon as the words left my mouth, I suddenly paused. It was as if a light flashed in my head. The conversation with Su Ling at the library suddenly came flooding back from my memory. Back then, I was still repeating the word abandon, not paying any attention to his complaints. At most, I'd just laugh it off. But now, the moment I said it myself, those nerve connections that seemed to have been lost, suddenly reconnected with pinpoint accuracy. Debt to asset ratio. Banks willing to lend means good credit. Only by borrowing money can you have surplus capital to make even more money. So that's how it was. It turned out that Su Ling, that foolish, half-baked young master, and I had made the exact same silly mistake. It turned out Gui Cheng had never gone bankrupt. It turned out. No wonder he was still so incredibly rich. I sprang up as if I'd been electrocuted. My first instinct was still to run. As the head of an industry monopolizing conglomerate, if he knew I had pulled such a stunt to slip away, he could crush me more easily than an ant. The moment I turned, Gui Cheng seized my wrist tightly. Where are you going? By Wanji, you have to explain clearly. I understand now. It's because you thought I went bankrupt that you left, isn't it? His eyes were red, the blood vessels vaguely visible. His voice also trembled. But I never went bankrupt. I'm not bankrupt. Can you, please not leave me again? What kind of situation is this now? I tried to gently pull my hand away, but I couldn't move it at all. Gui Cheng held me tightly with his left hand, pulled out his phone with his right, and tapped a few times. In less than a moment, my phone received a message. Inside was an attachment, a seemingly endless list of assets appeared before my eyes. Real estate, liquid assets, stocks, options, investment funds, bank deposits, etc. All in Gui Cheng's name. He remained calm, his expression unchanged. I've thought about it, and I understand now. This is actually my fault. It's because I never frankly explained my income to you, which led to all of this. Therefore, I've sent you my asset statement. For real estate, can I transfer 50% to your name? The remaining 50% will be in Cece's name. As for stocks, funds, these involve major issues like public board of directors and investors, so there would be significant impact and high risks. If you feel troubled then. I was completely stunned. I immediately cut him off. Gui Cheng. What are you trying to do? I guess in Gui Cheng's eyes, I was still quite practical, so when he heard me ask that, he must have thought I wanted something. If it were before, perhaps I wouldn't have hesitated. I might have just signed away immediately. But now, I unexpectedly refused. This action clearly stunned Gui Cheng. After a long moment, he cautiously inquired about Cece. Is it because of the child? Don't trick me with words like her father is a young man I met later. Other things aside, but isn't a DNA test too easy? Gigi. We've been apart for so many years, I should make up for my shortcomings with Cece now. Gui Cheng gently placed his hand on my shoulder. I want to be her father. To be your husband, so the three of us can be together. Give me a chance, okay? I lowered my eyes. Cece is an independent person. Gui Cheng is right. She has the right to know who her biological father is and the right to decide her own future. I should tell her the truth. I nodded. Let me think about it a bit more. Gui Cheng didn't say anything more. In fact, by now, everything had gone far beyond anything I had ever imagined. When I picked Cece up and brought her home, my mind was still hazy and confused. It took a long while to calm down before I could gather my thoughts. I told Cece everything, from beginning to end. Yes. That uncle is your father. His name is Gui Cheng, and he's Mom's ex-boyfriend. We separated due to some misunderstandings. Do you understand? Based on Cece's affection for Gui Cheng, I had expected her to immediately scream with joy, celebrating that she had finally become a young lady of a prestigious family just as she dreamed. But no. She suddenly fell silent. The air grew still. She slowly walked closer to me, wearing her flowing princess dress, then burrowed into my arms, wrapping her arms around my neck. She looked at me intently, her eyes serious. What about you, Mom? What do you think? Cece really hopes Mom and Dad can be together. But Mom's thoughts are the most important. If Mom doesn't like Dad, then no matter how rich Dad is, Cece would rather live as we did before. Just the two of us is enough. Because life has been very happy until now. Cece. I spread my arms and hugged her tightly. My eyes welled up with tears. Precisely because I knew Cece was just like me, loving money as much as life itself, I understood even more how incredibly precious her words were. The very next second, Cece lifted her head from my embrace, and blinked her big, round eyes again. Of course, Mom. I still hope Mom and Dad Gu will be together. But it's definitely not because he's a boss with hundreds of millions in assets. Nor is it because he buys me so many limited edition toys. It's because he's super popular in my class right now. Next time anyone dares to say I don't have a dad, I'll bring him to fight for me. I chuckled out loud. Actually, I couldn't clearly explain my feelings for Gui Cheng myself. When I was with him, I was truly very happy. Even this reunion, when he said he wanted to start over, I was swayed. When the three of us lived together, besides the initial surprise, I truly didn't feel any great resistance. But 6 years ago, after leaving Gui Cheng, I gradually earned money on my own, building a small career for myself. That sense of accomplishment, compared to the days as a canary in a gilded cage, was truly something that left me speechless. Thinking about that, I called Gui Cheng. The other end picked up almost immediately. I leaned back slightly, resting against the chair, and calmly began, I've talked to Cece. I've also thought carefully about our relationship. The breathing on the other end of the phone seemed a bit rapid and strained. He just softly hummed, his voice clearly trembling. So, Gigi, what do you mean? My answer? Gui Cheng. Cece seems to really like you. And for me, everything was just a misunderstanding. Perhaps we should correct that a bit. I heard him take a deep breath. But I changed my tone, making a turn. I have an entrance exam coming up soon. After that, I'll go to university, and I'll also continue managing my online design business. Do you mind? When I was first with Gui Cheng, he was almost my father's savior. At that time, I looked at him with admiration. He said that university was too hard, and I didn't object much. But now, it's different. I have my own thoughts and ideals. If I were to go back to the starting point now, to be tightly confined within a suffocating family framework, it simply wouldn't work anymore. I thought Gui Cheng would argue with me for a while. Unexpectedly, in the very next moment, he immediately agreed. His voice was both hurried and awkward, as if he had won the lottery and was eager to rush off to claim his prize. University? Is it because of my attitude back then? I remember now, you once said you wanted to go to university. I just. Anyway, I won't be like that anymore, Gigi. If there's anything you want to do, anything you want to achieve, I will support you 100%, and I will never pour cold water on you again. Please trust me. Really? As if afraid I would hang up at any moment, Gui Cheng spoke quickly in one long breath. Then his voice softly lowered. Any other requests? As long as it's something I can do, I agree. Other requests? I wasn't that greedy. Before I could even finish thinking, Cece suddenly dashed over, snatching the phone from my hand. Her voice was sharp, clear, and full of commanding authority. I have a request. I do. There were some kids at school who used to bully me, saying I didn't have a dad. I've written all their names in my notebook. In the next few days, you have to go with me, one by one, to fight for me. Gu Yicheng immediately raised his voice, full of indignation. Someone dared to bully my daughter? Bai Cece let out a clear huff. What do you know, Dad? Now, immediately come pick up Mom and me. And while you're at it, bring some people to help pack our luggage, and buy me some pastries and chocolate. If the food is good, I'll tell you more about Mom and me these past few years. I vaguely heard a thump on the other end of the phone. It was clearly Gu Yicheng hastily putting on his shoes and running out. Dad will be right there. Epilogue. When Gu Yicheng first saw Bai Wanji's cancer diagnosis, he almost went crazy. Terminal stage, metastasized. Only 3 months left. No treatment planned. He continuously called hospitals and used every connection he had to track down Bai Wanji's whereabouts. He secretly vowed to himself, as long as he found her, he would force her to undergo treatment. Even if he had to fight death itself, he would keep her. But several months passed. No news. Finding her was too difficult. Because Gu Yicheng didn't even know if Bai Wanji was still in the country. He began to become restless and anxious. Outside, rumors began to swirl, chaotic and confusing, but Gu Yicheng didn't bother to pay attention. He often locked himself in his office, not stepping out for a long time. Until one day, the hospital suddenly called him. Is this Mr. Gu? We just discovered an issue with the test results you sent last time. We recall you saying your wife was around 20 years old, correct? But according to the CT scan in this report, it's a woman around 40, and she's given birth before. We suspect it was swapped with someone else's results. Gu Yicheng's heart suddenly tightened. He wasn't sure what he was feeling at that moment, only that his head was spinning, almost losing the ability to think. Even speaking was difficult. Why are you only discovering this now? The other end of the line knew they had caused a big problem and quickly apologized. Yes, it was our oversight. Because truly, no one initially expected that even this could be faked. But Mr. Gu, rest assured, we have contacted other hospitals in the same system and found Ms. Bai's medical records. The voice on the other end faded. This information is originally patient privacy. But considering the relationship between you and the other party, actually. Ms. Bai visited the obstetrics and gynecology department that time. She seemed to be pregnant. Gu Yicheng immediately called all his people who were tracking Bai Wanji's whereabouts back. After learning that she had left because she was pregnant, he pondered for a long time. Why would a woman, even when pregnant, still choose to leave him? He must have been an unforgivably terrible man. So, he began to revisit the time they spent together. Bit by bit, small detail by small detail, like unraveling a cocoon, he peeled away every terrible thing he had done to her. Then, quietly, step by step, he corrected them. Gu Yicheng had always rarely accepted media interviews. After that incident, he became even more private and humble. He thought, the next time he met Gigi, she must see a completely new Gu Yicheng, a better, more deserving man. Perhaps, it was fate giving him another chance. 6 years later, during a casual business trip, he encountered a group of elementary school students on a summer camp. While waiting for his assistant to get the car, a little girl unexpectedly crashed into him. She clutched her nose, and profusely apologizing, saying she wasn't looking where she was going. A picture also fell out of her bag. Gu Yicheng bent down to pick it up. And then he saw, it was Bai Wanji's passport photo. The end.